So the topic for today is simple present tense, also called as simple indefinite tense. So what is simple present tense? Any verb that is in the first form, also called as the base form of the verb or the root form of the verb. For example, eat or eats, go or goes, write or writes. All these forms of the verb are in simple present tense or simple indefinite tense. Now, when do we actually use simple present tense? I have got 13 rules for you. And the first one is here. That is to give instructions or directions or orders or commands. We can call them as imperative sentences. So what are these type of sentences? What is imperative? To instruct someone. Now, why do we use simple present tense in these type of sentences? In instructions or directions or orders or command, why do we use a simple present tense? Because it's essential, it's unavoidable. You are in an inescapable situation. You are in the present moment. That's why here we have to use simple present tense. Let's look at the examples. Put the cake in the oven. The second example is give me the key. It's an order, it's a command. Next is insert the disc. Turn on the lights. A doctor advising a patient. Eat the fruits. Drink lot of water. So all this is happening in the present moment, wherein you are in an unavoidable or inescapable situation. That's when you have to use simple present tense. That's the first rule. Here comes the second rule, and that is to express habitual action, means habit or a custom or something that is ongoing in the present moment. For example, let's see. I watched the series at 5 p.m. So this is the verb. So something that is happening consistently on a regular basis. You're practicing something. You're regularly doing it. We use simple present tense. Second example is I work in US. Someone asks you, what do you do for a survival? You can reply, I work in US. I am working in US is not incorrect too, but preferably we use simple present tense. Now, third example is London is a big city. That's again simple present tense. Fourth, my shop closes at 9 p.m. So this thing is happening daily on a consistent basis. So you use simple present tense. I exercise daily morning. I perform my exercise at 5 a.m. daily morning. Rule number 3. We use simple present tense or present indefinite tense for a general fact or for a universal truth, and even for proverbs, quotes, quotations and sayings also. Let's see the first example. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So what is the verb here? Rises and sets. You can see here we are using simple present tense. We use simple present tense. Second is humans are mortals. There is no change to this. No one can invalidate this. Humans will always remain mortals. So we use simple present tense. The third is also a general fact or a truth. Water freezes at 0 degrees. Next is a proverb. Laughter is the best medicine. Next is also a proverb, adage, actions speak louder than words. So this is in simple present. This is in simple present tense. We have other examples like a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Begin or begins. Again, that's in simple present tense. Next, another example, a friend in need is a friend in need. Again, is in simple present tense. Here we have rule number 4. We use simple present tense to indicate a future event which you have already planned and arranged. Okay, something is going to happen in the future, but you have already made all those arrangements, you have organized everything, you're very sure, you have decided, you're resolute enough that this thing is going to happen. In that case, we use simple present tense. Let's look upon the examples. Example 1 is the yoga class starts next week. Why you are so sure of starting the class from next week? Because you have already decided. You have already chalked out every arrangements and all. You have decided. So in that case, when you can be sure, we use simple present tense. Although this is going to happen in the future. Second is, the plane arrives at 6 p.m. tomorrow. There is no one who is going to hijack the plane. There is no problems or any worst situation as such. So in that case, the plane arrives at 6 p.m. tomorrow. If someone is asking you what time the plane is coming, you see the plane arrives at 6 p.m. tomorrow. The third example is the exam starts from next month. This is similar to the first one. You have chalked out, you have designed all the plans, organization and arrangement. You are sure enough that you are in a position to conduct the exam. The exam starts from next month. So these are the verbs in simple present tense. Rule number 5. We use simple present tense to express future, that is the time of the future, after some selective conjunctions. You can see for yourself, conjunctions are, I hope you know about conjunction, they are subordinating conjunction and coordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunctions belong to complex sentences, coordinating conjunctions belong to compound sentences. So these are the conjunctions here, as soon as subordinating conjunction, until, then before, again subordinating conjunction, when. These are the conjunctions. Now, the rule says that when we use these conjunctions, the verb that follows is in simple present tense. Example, as soon as you see her, pass on the message. Okay, this is in simple present tense. Second one, be seated here until the train leaves. Look at the verb here that comes after this conjunction. It's in simple present tense. Run before he leaves. This is again in simple present tense. He will hand over the file when he comes next Sunday. Look here, the verb that comes after the conjunction is in simple present tense. So what is the condition that is to be followed? This is expressing the future time. The action that is taking place is in the future. But when we use these conjunctions, the verb that follows is in simple present tense. Here we have rule number 6, that is to repeat the quotations of famous personalities, we use simple present tense. Let's look at example 1. Einstein says, strive not to be a success but to be of value. Okay, this famous personality says that we should not strive for success. We should be people of some substance, some essence, of some valuable significance. Now, why do we use simple present tense here? Because I am repeating what this personality has said. I'm just repeating it. I'm a repeater and I stand in the present moment. And while talking to my friend or my sibling, I say, hey, Einstein says this. So in that case, we can use simple present tense. I don't say that using past tense is incorrect, but then we can use simple present tense also. Let's leap on to example 2. Newton says every law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Julie says perseverance is not falling 19 times but rising or succeeding on the 20th time. So while speaking with your friend, you can use simple present tense to quote celebrities and famous personalities. Rule number 7, we use simple present tense with exclamatory sentences with these kind of words, see, here and there. Okay, usually we use simple present tense with see, here and there. Okay, it has started raining and you say, see how it rains. Simple present tense. Second example is, you're meeting your friend after a long time and you say, hey, here comes the hero, here comes the villain. Third example is, there goes the new principal, have a look at him. So with these words or adverbs, we use simple present tense. Here comes rule number 8, and that is, we can use simple present tense while writing a story, that is a narrative in the past. Why did I mention can? Because it's not a necessity or an obligation. You can, if you want, you can use simple present tense. Now, when you're writing a story, means narrative or narration. What is a vivid narration? A story has got very powerful and strong feelings that create images in the mind. So when you use that, as the story continues and progresses, you can make use of simple present tense. Let's have a look at the example. Once upon a time, there lived a king. He was a very brave warrior. But one day he goes to the forest and comes in proximity to the tiger. He meets with an accident. So did you see the shift or the change here? As the story progresses, as a substitute to the past tense, you can use simple present tense. It's not at all wrong in using simple present tense as a substitute for past. Let's move on to rule number 9, and that is use simple present tense in time clauses and conditional clauses. Now, what is a time clause? Any dependent clause that has got a time word in it, like when, after, as soon as. So when there are such conjunctions, then normally we use simple present tense. Conditional clauses means the dependent clause with if. If you work hard, you will succeed. If you do this, you will be promoted. So with time clauses, which we had discussed earlier, and with conditional clauses, we use simple present tense. I hope we got it. Look at the next rule, and that is an interrogative sentence, which means a question uses present tense if it happens in the present moment, if the speaker and the receiver are based in the present moment, and that question will carry simple present tense. For example, do you watch cricket? Do you read books? Okay, so look at the second example. You meet with a child, or you ask a teacher to a student, ask, who teaches you? Who takes English for you? Who teaches English? Do you read books? So such questions use simple present tense. Rule 11. Have you ever observed eye-catchy headlines in newspapers and articles? Obviously, it's in simple present tense, and that is rule number 11. Newspaper headlines are usually written in present tense. Example 1, terrorist attack on the hotel, or Royal Park Society catches fire. Attack is in present tense. Catches is in present tense. Man enters space. So all these headlines for the newspapers and articles are written in simple present tense. Rule number 12. Ceremonial conversations are usually written in present tense. Let's have a look at the examples. Example 1. I proclaim you as the warrior, the king, saying to his knight or subordinate, you are the next warrior, I proclaim you. The priest conducting the holy marriage, it's also in simple present tense. Hereforth or henceforth, I pronounce you to be man and wife, to be husband and wife. So these things which are considered to be of holy and very pious and sacred and all, we use simple present tense. A judge proclaiming or pronouncing judgment, that's also in simple present tense. I pronounce the judgment upon you. Rule 13. Non-progressive verbs generally use simple present tense. Now, what are progressive verbs? Verbs in continuity. Progressive or continuity means that is ongoing. Verbs with ing are progressive verbs. Verbs that do not have ing are non-progressive verbs. So let's look at the example. I feel hot. Usually, if you're feeling very hot, you cannot say, I'm feeling very hot. Although we say that's not appropriate, the correct version is I feel so hot now. Second example is, I want to know more about you. So the verb, there are certain specific verbs which you need to know, like feel and want, that we cannot use in ing form. Certain construction of sentences are made up that way. I am wanting to know more about you is wrong. I want to know more about you. So these kind of verbs use only simple present tense. This is rule number 14. You can see the list of adverbs here. With these adverbs, we use only simple present tense. Always, usually, seldom, never, sometimes, often, frequently, generally, occasionally, habitually, once, twice, thrice. There are more such adverbs with which we use only simple present tense.